Welcome to MSP Unplugged Resource Thursday with Phin Security. I'm your host, Rick Smith. This is the place to learn tips, trips, strategies, and some stories to help you run your IT service business. Whether you're a one-person shop or you're leading a team for the journey, this is the place for you. My co-host, Paco Lebron, he's actually on vacation this week, getting some much-needed rest. I hope he gets to unplug, no pun intended there, but take some time away from all of the business and just gets to relax a little bit. But Paco, I hope you're having fun. I want to give a welcome to our guest, Connor Swalm I'm sorry, Connor Swalm. He's a founder and CEO of Phin Security. How are
Thanks
you,
for having
Connor?
me on. I'm doing great, Rick.
That's good. That's good. I apologize for that there.
No problem.
Before we get started with Connor and talk about what's going on with Phin Security, need to give a quick shout out to our upcoming event, TechCon Unplugged. TechCon Unplugged is September 16th to the 18th at the Hilton Rosemont Chicago O'Hare. There you will learn from like-minded business owners and members, and business owners and vendors, gain key takeaways from them. And my favorite part, you get to experience that one-on-one or spontaneous group conversations, whereas Paco's famous for saying, is where the magic happens. Now, again, we've been making some updates on the website, so we've confirmed a lot of the vendors who've signed up. So we got some pictures up, we got some testimonials. As we've spoken to before, we do have anyone interested in planning on coming. We recommend you may want to think about coming in Thursday evening or early Friday morning. We do have 2 pre-day events that are coming up, which were very popular last year. These will be basically lab learnings for the individuals who are there early enough. The agenda is up. It's changing each day, just meaning we're confirming everything and adding things on. And we've, as I said before, we've had some new vendors who've signed up. So it looks like we're going to be a full house. So go get your tickets. They're $2.99. You can take advantage of the discount codes that are out there some places. But again, it's $2.99. You can head over to techconunplugged.com and get your tickets. All right, there. I'm sorry for the long intro here, but I just got to take care of a little housekeeping.
No, you made it through.
Yeah, we did. Just tell us a little bit about yourself, and then how did Phin Security come about?
So I have do you want the long or the short story here?
You tell the story you want to tell.
I tell the story I want to tell. Okay. So I founded a software development company in college with a professor of mine who was teaching cybersecurity, or rather electrical engineering, but with a focus in cybersecurity. I don't know how that happens, but he was in cyber somehow. I was not. And we were basically code monkeys for hire. Anyone that walked through the door needed something written. We teach ourselves how to write it, figure out how to get it done, and do it. And then I graduated, and we decided to build some cybersecurity tools that we thought were really cool. But nobody else thought they were cool, because we would go to sell them to local businesses here in Delaware, and nobody wanted to buy them. They didn't really care. And so after about 6 months of beating my head against that wall and having no success, I decided to start asking people questions. So it only took 6 months to figure out I should just ask people what they want. And they all complained about their users making mistakes, and that they didn't have felt like they had a good solution to address that, or to properly prepare users for threats that they might face on a regular basis. And then on top of that, I ran across one MSP in that process. Like, we probably Googled cybersecurity services in Delaware, and then went to the first, physically drove to the first office that showed up. And it happened to be a managed service provider. And when we talked with them about this problem as well, so we kind of brought that problem to them. We're like, hey, are your users making mistakes? They're like, yep. Okay. Do you feel like you don't have a solution that properly addresses that and prepares them? Yep. And then they stopped, and they were like, also, can you let us control the companies in these ways? Can you make it multi-tenant? Can you have pricing that works for us? And then, we could get into it later on the podcast, but there's a whole litany of features and the way a business, like a vendor, should work with an MSP that is often not in other platforms that they told us about. So we're like, okay, I think we have a problem, and I think we have a target market here. with an even bigger problem. So we'll solve that. And that was like 2.5, 3 years ago. You're muted.
Wow, I muted myself, and I'm the host. Wow, but I think the first thing I think that's great and it was great to hear is that you went out, you asked questions, you found out what the problem was, rather than telling us what the problem was. You went out and found out what it is and created a solution for it. So tell us a little bit now about what Phin Security is and what you guys do.
Well, I tried to tell people what their problem was first. Don't forget that.
Yeah, you did learn.
So what we do basically is the biggest pain point that we found in organizing these campaigns was the time it takes. Whether it's, I mean, you run an MSP, selecting phishing emails, selecting the trainings, scheduling them out, doing the reporting, meeting with the customer on a regular basis to see how everything's going. It's like all of this takes an enormous amount of time. And when I looked at it, I was like, well, all of this could be pretty much automated. Like if I knew the topics that people needed to be trained on from the beginning, if I knew what they were vulnerable to from a phishing perspective, which, we could sit here and guess what 90% of people are going to be vulnerable to. Look what's going on in the news. Look what popular brands people are purchasing from or software they're using. And then like, boom, you've got everything they're vulnerable to. So we said, okay, why don't we just make it really easy to do all of that, automate that all, and not have MSPs repeat the process every time they want to do that in a new client. And that's kind of where we started. And that's where our focus has been, is in that management of multiple campaigns at a time and making it super easy. Paco's calling from Playa del Carmen.
I'm sorry?
Paco's here from Playa del Carmen. I see him in the chat.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I knew he couldn't stay away. See? Stay unplugged. He doesn't follow through. But anyway, just want so do you guys in your security training, and what do you do it? Is it more so animated basis, or is it or is it I guess the other way is just talking
live action,
I guess.
Both. So one of the things that I kind of thought at the very beginning is when I was looking at what is the competition, why are people complaining about a problem when there are 47 pages of search results of companies that attempt to solve this? That was like, it's not a new space. It's very crowded, actually. And so when I went into it, I physically would I'd go find these companies, then I'd go to LinkedIn and connect with their founders. And then I would DM them and say, hey, I'm a new person in this space trying to do cool things. Do you want to meet? And a lot of them, it was actually really encouraging. A lot of these founders of these other security awareness companies took me up on that. So I've ended up becoming pretty good friends with a lot of the different players in the industry. But all of them had a similar perspective, or most of them, I don't want to say all, had a similar perspective. It was that their content was the differentiator. It's like, it didn't matter what platform they had. It didn't matter how hard or how easy it was to manage things. It didn't matter what kind of reporting existed. They were like, oh, we have the best content. That's our differentiator. And then when I hear that 8 times in a row, and I'm like, well, the previous 7 founders told me that too. So like, what makes your content better than the 7th and then the 6th and the 5th? So I was like, I don't think the content is the differentiator here. I think it has to be in the orchestration. So we went to these providers and we're like, hey, can we buy your content from you? Can we license it? Can we purchase it? What kind of pricing scheme can we work out where you feel like you're getting a good job? Because I'm going to get a market. I'm going to get MSPs to be working with me, and they need content, and I want your content because it's good. And so we offer, I think, 4 different content providers right now, working on a 5th that cover live action, animated, HIPAA, GDPR, PCI, any type whiteboard style learning, any type of training we have purchased and we now have in our platform.
Okay, well, that's cool, because I know one of the challenges as an MSP, I have it personally, but trying to get your clients to pay attention to training and learnings, and it's boredom, right? It's one of the biggest challenges is some of the training is not speaking to the customer, but speaking to the MSP, speaking their language. And that is a tremendous challenge. And you can't get people to complete, trainings if you lose them.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I noticed, well, I did this when I studied math in college, is I would try to talk to people about something I was really passionate about, which was math, and nobody cared, right? They didn't get fired up like I did. You'd see what I told Marvin last night. You'd see the light dim from their eyes, the light bulb goes off, and the conversation's over. They got to go talk to their friend, or their mom's calling them or something. And I noticed roughly the same thing happening in this security awareness industry. I was like, hold on, the people who are typically in charge of building this content are the cybersecurity experts, because they're the people with the knowledge to actually know how to state things and what to do. But that doesn't really communicate well to a normal person who just wants to show up on a Tuesday and do a really good job. They don't care the same way that we will about the security, nor about the content that we're putting out. So there was this disconnect between the way that we were attempting to communicate with normal employees, or like just people that wanted to show up and do a good job, and the way that was actually happening. So, me and my co-founder were very technical. He studied computer science. He's been a industry software developer, and I studied math. So we're like, if we make our own content, we're just going to do the exact same. It'll be two dudes who are really nerdy making content somewhere in a basement, trying to communicate to a normal person. That's not going to go over well. It hasn't ever gone over well. So you know what? Let's go get the people that have the industry knowledge and have the budgets, and who have created this really high quality content already. And that's why we decided to license it.
Okay. So let's take this from a perspective. If I'm an MSP, I'm coming to you and I say, hey, Connor, I'm looking for a solution to help my clients, who are I just need to, because I need to train them on being more conscious of what's going on in the market. Now, and I say to you, I need a solution. I need something that's quote unquote not boring, entertaining, and I can have it could be done in, I don't know, 15 minutes per week. Can you fit that bill for me?
Yeah, absolutely. And we actually do it in less than 15 minutes a week. But yeah.
Okay. Now, does I'm just going to ask some questions. And,
Sure.
Some of these I know the answer to, but I'm going to ask them again, as an MSP asking the questions. Are we given a dash as an MSP? Am I giving a dashboard as my client? Let's say I have a client who's 10 users. He distributes out his training to 10 users. Are we able to track, monitor who does what? Yep. And how is that done? Does the client have access to it as well, or is it just me as a MSP?
It's up to you. So we've put multiple layers of role-based access into the platform, so that when you create a new tenant, you can delegate certain amounts of access to stakeholders of the client, or you can keep all of that access to yourself as the partner and give that to your own administrators who are going to be managing the programs on behalf of the client. So we say, like, you can co-manage or partner manage if you want. It's up to you. And it's not like you got to do one or the other. You could do both in any tenant, in any combination, and all of them, and none of them, and some of them. You get to decide.
Okay. Now, when I come and I know we talked about you have it in different venues, in live action and animated, whiteboard. Is the program, do I pick that, or is the program does it roll out in different formats depending on what's being taught?
It rolls out in different formats depending upon what's being taught. So I mentioned earlier, the biggest pain point was automation. Specifically, there's one big piece, and it's onboarding automation. I would talk to MSPs and they'd be like, I get a new client, you got all this other onboarding to do and all of your other tools. And then they come to the security awareness tool and they're like, okay, this will be the next hour, 2 hours of my life. That's what they told me. And it's like, this shouldn't be the case. You need a list of emails. That's pretty much it. What gives? So the way you would onboard on our platform now is you'd answer a questionnaire about that client even before you'd get users on board, or you could do it after the fact. And that would generate a list of topics that are going to be used to train the employees. So from our content library, since we have so many different providers, those topics will select which module ends up getting delivered. So the way we say it is essentially, this is a continuous campaign. It never ends because we're not selecting the exact module. We're just saying, make sure a user gets training on phishing, recognizing it, reporting it, whatever. Make sure a user gets training on passwords. Make sure a user gets training on device security or bring your own device policy stuff. And then we will repeat those topics every so often, like every year or whatever, they recycle. But what we'll do is the next time that user gets the phishing topic, they'll get a different phishing module. So they get training on the same relevant topics that we know from the very beginning of the onboarding that you did, but it's never the same kind of training. So it could be animated, could be live action, although we've gotten some requests. So we have a public feature request board, and one of them was like, hey, let me have a filter. It's like only live action or only animated or only whiteboard style. So maybe that'll happen in the future. It's not the most popular upvoted feature request just yet. So we'll see.
Okay. Well, Paco just asked a question here. Who shouldn't be listening, but anyway, he wants to know what integrations are available or are on the roadmap.
So 2 integrations available right now. One is Azure Active Directory, and we built our own user sync. I actually filmed a full demo of that you could see on our YouTube. The second is Graph API. So for Paco and you, Rick, and anyone else listening, another big pain point was the whitelisting of the domains. Because if there was a change in the secure email gateway or the way the mail flows into your client or out of your client, like you'd have to go back into all of your tools and re-whitelist the domains and change things. And it just became a huge pain. So we integrate with the Graph API where you can just, with the API, drop content right in the inbox and set it to unread in your Office managed clients. So you don't even have to whitelist the traffic because we're not using SMTP at that point. Future integrations. We're building an API right now, and the order that we have as of now, which could change, is going to be a LionGuard integration, a lifecycle integration, and then we are in Gradient Synthesize program. So we will be doing an integration with Gradient at some point as well. And then, so the PSA integrations, yes, we want to do that. We've looked into Datto, which is now Kaseya, ConnectWise, and the contracts that we were asked to sign in order to get access to the integrations were unsignable, in the words of my lawyers. So we're going to integrate either through Gradient or Roost, REWST. They have a lot of integrations with PSAs as well. We're gonna have to use a third party to integrate with the PSAs, is what I'm trying to say. So we will, because we know that it's like it's the final stage of automation. You don't even need to come to our platform anymore because you can just look at it all through your PSA. That's what we want. Don't know when that'll happen though.
But that's cool. Now, all of the content you said is delivered via email, right? Now, is there a platform somewhere where a customer could go and log in and continue training as well, or is it all just email based?
It's all token based in the email itself. So one of the things that actually I didn't expect Marvin to even pick up on our website last night was login-less LMS. That's a mouthful. But what it means is basically another big pain point that we found from MSPs was when you have 100 clients with 100 employees each. That's generalizing and probably not accurate, but that's a lot of it. It's 10,000 employees. If you had to manage passwords and accounts for all of them to get into their training, it's like you're receiving support tickets left and right every single day of your life just to reset that password. So we said, we're not displaying any sensitive information. We're not doing anything that could be risky. We're not telling them to do anything that could damage their company. So why don't we just make a token-based authentication in their email? So they click a link that's sent to the individual in their email, almost certainly through this spam filter bypass that we've built with Microsoft. And every time they click it, all the links that they've ever received just redirect them back to their version of the portal where they're doing their training. And let's do it that way. We call it the shortest possible path to learning. So there's no login, there's no password, there's no access for an end employee, which is really secure in that sense. And they just click button, get training is what we call it. There are no barriers anymore.
Okay, cool. I will throw this out there. As we talk about a lot about trying to bring customers into a smaller ecosystem, just meaning not so many places to go. So not so many tools on their desktop. So we use and this is a generic statement, but we use here at Renactus, we have a customer portal we use, and we use that for basically, we're trying to get the client to go there to get everything.
Right.
So would there be any plans or any opportunities to be able to maybe import into something like that?
Yes. So one of the feature requests we got recently, which was really smart, I don't think we would have ever come up with this on our own, is what if an employee can go somewhere, i.e. your portal, like the MSPs that we were talking to said, what if they could come to our portal and the user just types in their email address and they get a link emailed to them automatically. So if you wanted your user to complete the training and they're like, well, I don't know what my links are, it's like they go to your portal, they type in their email address, and if they are in your account, like boom, they get sent a link, or maybe it even displays right there on their screen. So that will be built at some point to accomplish exactly what you just described.
Yeah, I just think it would be awesome just to, the goal is to limit the amount of clicks the customer makes, from the machine. But you guys have at present now, do you guys have a partner program?
Yep. We're MSP only. So
okay.
I actually said no one time. Someone's like, do you have a partner program? And I said no, because it's just so second nature. We don't work with enterprises. We don't go direct. We don't do any of that. We only work through MSPs and MSSPs. We could discuss the difference. I don't know. That's a hot button topic these days, right?
Yeah. Tomato.
That's what I say. That's what I say now. The line's blurring very quickly.
I'm sure that will be an insult to someone who's really an MSSP, and no shade, but but so can you tell us a little bit about the partner program and how that works?
Yeah. So the first is really friendly pricing models for MSPs. So you mentioned earlier we bill monthly. That's the first thing that MSPs ask for. We don't require you to commit for a year, although we give a big discount if you do. We don't require you to pay for a year, although we give a discount if you do. And then there's a 125 seat minimum. That's in aggregate across the MSP. So that's not, some people do like per tenant minimums. No, we don't do any of that. And then every 500 seats in aggregate usage, there's a price break for the MSP. So if you deploy with us more often, you end up getting steep discounts because, well, you're using us a lot, and we'd like to reward that.
Now, I love the fact that there's no commitments, and I'm going to tell you why, which is going to lead up to the next question. A lot of times you as an MSP, we know we need something, right? And I think every MSP within the sound of my voice knows that they need, to implement security training for every employee, for every user that's on our platform, it'll, in the long run, probably eliminate, hopefully, 20% of our tickets that come in for stupid things that happen that were avoidable. And maybe stupid things is the wrong word, but when it comes to things like this, again, I have tried several different platforms. I don't have to name names. I'm just going to say I've tried several different platforms. And my pushback has always been, this is boring, or this doesn't work, or can you get something else? And, with one particular vendor, I was stuck because I had to continue to pay for something that I was not using because they wanted me to stay in it for a year. So I love the fact that there's no commitments, no long-term commitment. But is there some kind of trial or training or something you go through before you deploy?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We offer NFR licenses to all MSP staff forever. So as long as this is what I'll say. It's 6 months that you have to test this internally completely for free as the MSP. If you deploy in at least one client, your internal employees are free forever. So you could use yourselves as a guinea pig or actually have your own really high quality security awareness program as an MSP for absolutely free. And there's no weird strings attached to that. No nothing other than like, I'm going to see that you're using the platform. So I'm going to reach out to you every now and then and ask you how things are going. there's no weird strings attached to that, like there are with some other vendors too.
Okay. That's great. I mean, again, like I say, I talk to you as an MSP because I'm an MSP, and it's one of the biggest hang up about trying products and trying to find what fits for you is, most people want to hold you hostage, basically.
Yeah. I didn't like that when I saw that. I noticed I've never been an MSP. I've worked very closely with many, many MSPs for the last 2.5 years. And the thing that stood out to me is that it's a great group of people, like just an awesome community that gets taken advantage of a lot for some reason. And when I looked at it, I was like, why do we have these multi-year contracts? And I get it. Software is really hard to build really well and have it scale really well. So I get that it's like it's almost certainly, don't attribute malice to action when stupidity will do is a quote of mine. So it's almost certainly people not trying to be mean or hurtful, but I was like, I'm just going to be different. I'm going to be a group of cool people doing cool things for other cool people is my life's mission. And then in the pursuit of that, we brought on some really cool advisors like Ray Orsini, who's a really good friend of mine now, and Wes Spencer, and kind of asked them, we're like, hey, we want to do right by this space. We want to do right by this community. We want to be the best partner that anyone is ever going to have. We want people leaving this relationship saying, damn, those guys were awesome. What do we got to do for that to happen? And that process, like just asking them that question every week, every day, has been over the last 1.5 years has turned into why we act the way that we do today and why there's no commitment. Because if somebody doesn't feel good about working with us, it's, you're going to go tell your friend. First and foremost, it's selfish. It's like, if I handcuff you to me and you hate me, you're going to go scream at all of your friends. It's like, yeah,
exactly.
Don't work with this guy. He'll throw those handcuffs on you and then disappear. No, I don't want that. So when people are like, I see that, they're a little, what is that called? Trigger shy or something, where they're like, oh, I'm signing a contract now. Okay. How long is this one for? I'm like, what are you talking about? 30 days? It's like, you just need to give me a 30-day notice. Like, well, what happens when I cancel? It's like, I delete your records and you move on. And they're like, okay, but how much money do I owe you? And I was like, just that month while you continue to use us and transfer off. They're like, okay, but can I take my data with me? It's like, you could take anything you want with you. Like, do you want me to help you move to your next provider? It's like, I'm not gonna feel bad about it. Like, if it doesn't work out for you, if you don't feel really excited about this, I'm not gonna feel excited about this, and I don't want it to not work out because of that. So it's a unique perspective, which I didn't think would be unique, but I guess it is.
Yeah, it's a great way to work. I mean, a lot of MSPs I guess it's gun shy is the word you're looking for.
Gun
a lot
shy,
of us are when it comes to commitments like that, because we have been burned. And I don't mind ever paying for a product that provides me what I need. And the second part of that is when I need help, they're available for me, or I can get some resources of help, because I'm using your product to service my clients. And if you can't help me, I can't help my clients. And then we have a huge problem. So how do you guys, do you have I would imagine that you probably wouldn't need it as much, but how is your support, or how do you offer support?
I like to think our support is awesome, but everybody says that, don't they? So this is what I used to say. It's not true anymore, but we were 5 developers in a dream. So we just wanted to build a really, really high quality product. We have hired a partner success individual now, who's working with us. Really cool guy named Jamie. And he not only handles partner success, but our support as well. So there's a few ways you can get support from us. One, you can reach out directly to certain members of our team. You can reach out to our support inbox, or we also, and this was also really rare that I found out, we have a somewhat private, because it's not just like anyone can join. You'd have to ask me for an invite, but I'd let anyone join. We have a community of all of our clients, every single person who has ever tried our product, every single person who has ever asked to be a part of the community to see what our clients and our test drives is what we call them, are saying about our product. and we let them talk with each other. And, sometimes that's backfired. Sometimes people start throwing tomatoes at your face, but in almost all the cases, it's like, we deserved that. And we recognize that. So a lot of actually what this community is now is MSP will have a question like, hey, I'm trying to launch this. Like, how do I do this? And before our team can even get to it, it's like there's 3 or 4 other MSPs in the chat. Like, oh, we did it this way and it worked out perfectly. It'll send these things on these times. It's really cool to see. It's exactly what I wanted to. I want you guys talking together, helping each other. Like, we're going to help you too. Also, my mobile phone number is in my email address, which that'll have to change at some point. But
yeah,
I have had people call me. I don't mind. I've had people call me.
Change that. I would never want to call you there, but
Yeah.
But okay, Connor. I think we're coming up on the half. Actually, we are at the half-hour mark. So I will ask you this before we sign off: is there anything you think we didn't cover, or anything about Phin security you want our audience to know?
Yeah, there's a lot. Running a really high quality security awareness program is a hard thing to do. It requires a lot of communication between you as the MSP and all of your clients, which is where that time consuming nature comes in. So I'll leave with a piece of advice. The biggest hiccup in deploying these programs in clients that I have seen from an MSP perspective is when the MSP, I don't want to say forgets, but for lack of a more accurate term, forgets to communicate with their client exactly what this program is going to be. So what I mean by that is you're going to get this kind of training for these reasons, and you can be as vague as you want. You're the expert as the MSP, so you should be looked at as the resource. You're not asking your client necessarily, what security services should they put in place. They're coming to you and asking that question. So you're kind of telling your client, this is what it's going to be. You're going to get fish tested. You're going to get this style of training, watch these videos, send these out to your employees. So I would say to every MSP, make sure you communicate to the stakeholders of the organization and have the stakeholders communicate to their employees. Make sure you get that. Don't forget that second step. The biggest parts of the program, the training, the phishing, the policies, the report, whatever it's going to be for you, make sure you communicate that effectively before anything happens in that client. Like last week, we had an MSP of ours. They launched in a client with 500 seats on Monday. Didn't tell a single soul that they were doing that. By Tuesday, they had 200 support requests about phishing emails and training reminders that were phishing email. And then they called me and it became a big problem for us. I was like, well, why didn't you use the resources that are in our platform for you to do this? Like, why didn't think to do that? And I was like, okay, light bulb went off. And I was like, maybe we should make this like almost like you can't get out of it. It's like you have to communicate to the employees in a non-simulated fashion. So we're going to be adding that real soon. We call them welcome emails. But that's what I would say. Leave with that advice.
Okay. That sounds good. I think it's sound advice that we should use for everything we do in the business is speaking to a client, setting expectations, and letting them know what's coming. Because I agree with a lot of times things happen, and then the worst phone call I get is someone calling you up, say, "Hey, what's this? I just saw this. When did this happen? Or how long?" And what's even worse is if that's been there 2, 3, 4 months and you haven't said a word about it, and they're just discovering it. So I think that's very sound advice for all of us in all the things we do is communicate and set expectations so we get no surprises, and more importantly, you get the results that you're looking for.
Yep. Couldn't have said it better myself.
Now, if anyone wanted to reach out to you or get some more information on Phin security, how would they do that?
So go to our website, Phinsec, that's PHINSEC.io. There's a full demo, no holds barred. Like I show you all the secret sauce on that if you scroll down to the bottom. So if you don't want to come talk to me and get a demo with me personally, you could just watch that and see if you like it. But if you wanted to reach out for a demo, that's where you do it. You can find me on LinkedIn, just Connor-Swalm, and you can find our company on LinkedIn as well.
Okay. And we will actually put those links in the show notes for everyone so they can be available. Connor, again, I do want to thank you for your time. I think what you guys offer is something that we should all check out and, give a shot to, because as I say before, security training is a necessity that a lot of us sometimes, we ignore.
Yeah.
So it's definitely something we have to put into place right now.
Yeah.
For everyone, I do want to thank you for your time today. I'll remind you again, we do have a few tickets left for TechCon Unplugged. So you can go check that out, techconunplugged.com for tickets. And I want to tell everybody, tune in every Tuesday and Thursday. You can watch the video podcast on youtube.com/MSP Unplugged, on facebook.com/MSP Unplugged. We also are streaming live on LinkedIn. I still do not know the exact link. This is when Paco comes back. We'll get that solved. But we need you to like, subscribe, hit the notification button to be notified whenever a new episode is available. You can also take us on the go with your favorite podcatcher. We're on Amazon Music, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, to name a few. I want to thank everybody again for listening, and we'll see you next time on MSP Unplugged.